in the quiet village of Ember Hollow, where the mornings are painted in soft hues of dawn and the evenings hum with the gentle crackle of hearth fires, Alara spends her days tending to her family's cottage. But today, the ordinary rhythm of her life is interrupted by something extraordinary. High in the attic, hidden beneath a layer of dust and forgotten memories, she finds a tome unlike anything she's ever seen. Bound in shimmering silver, it glows faintly, as if alive, and when she opens it, the air around her seems to shift. The pages are filled with intricate runes and illustrations of mages, cloaked in robes of midnight blue, their eyes glowing with arcane light. This, she realizes, is no ordinary book. It speaks of the Arcane Brotherhood, a legendary order of mages whispered about in hushed tones, a group thought to have vanished centuries ago. As Alara traces the runes with her fingers, a faint whisper brushes against her thoughts, soft yet insistent. It calls to her, urging her to seek the truth, to step beyond the safety of her quiet life and into the unknown. The decision before her is no small one: leave behind the peace of Ember Hollow, the warmth of her family, and the comfort of the familiar, or stay and let the mystery of the Brotherhood fade into legend once more. But the tome's energy pulses in her hands, and the whispers grow louder, almost pleading. What secrets does the Brotherhood hold? What power lies hidden within its ancient halls? And why, after all this time, has it chosen her? The answers are out there, waiting to be uncovered, but the path ahead is uncertain, and the risks are great. Will Alara heed the call, or will the whispers fade into silence? The story begins here, in the attic of a cottage in Ember Hollow, with a young mage and a choice that could change everything. With the first light of dawn breaking over Ember Hollow, Alara stands at the edge of the village, her pack slung over one shoulder, and the silver-bound tome cradled carefully in her arms. The whispers that once brushed against her thoughts now seem to hum in her veins, a quiet but persistent rhythm urging her forward. She glances back at the cottage, its windows still dark, her family asleep and unaware of her departure. A sharp pang of guilt tightens her chest, but she takes a deep breath, reminding herself of the mysteries waiting to be unraveled. The Brotherhood's secrets are out there, and she is the one chosen to find them. The forest looms ahead, its ancient trees towering like silent sentinels. As she steps beneath the canopy, the air grows thick and heavy, carrying the scent of damp moss and something faintly metallic, like the tang of magic. The path behind her vanishes, as if swallowed by the earth, and the forest itself seems to shift, trees twisting, shadows stretching in ways that defy logic. Panic flickers at the edges of her mind, but Alara closes her eyes and focuses on the whispers, letting them anchor her. She reaches into the pouch at her side, her fingers brushing against smooth stones, etched with calming runes. With a gentle murmur, she casts a soothing spell, the words flowing from her lips like a lullaby. The forest responds almost immediately. The restless energy that had coiled around her begins to ease, the shifting trees stilling as if listening. A soft glow emanates from the ground, revealing a hidden path winding deeper into the woods. The whispers hum with approval, guiding her forward, but the eerie stillness that follows is unsettling. It's as if the forest itself is holding its breath, waiting for something or someone. Alara's steps are cautious, her senses on high alert. She knows this is only the beginning. The forest may have yielded for now, but its secrets are far from revealed, and the path ahead is lined with questions she can't yet answer. As she walks, the weight of the tome in her hands feels heavier, its presence a constant reminder of the journey she's undertaken. The whispers grow louder, more insistent, but they're no longer just guiding her. They're warning her. The forest is a test, a gatekeeper to whatever lies beyond. And if the whispers are to be believed, the real challenges are still to come. Alara tightens her grip on the tome and steps forward, the faint glow of the path lighting her way. She doesn't know what awaits her in the heart of the forest, but one thing is certain: turning back is no longer an option. The dense canopy of the forest thins as Alara steps into a clearing, her breath catching at the sight before her. A crumbling tower rises from the earth, its jagged silhouette cutting through the pale light of the sky. Surrounding it is a moat of water that shimmers with an otherworldly glow, its surface rippling as though alive. The whispers in her mind grow urgent, urging her forward, but as she approaches the water, it reacts violently. Waves surge upward, towering and frothing, as if the moat itself is alive and furious at her intrusion. Alara stumbles back, her heart racing as the water lashes out, threatening to engulf her. She knows this is no ordinary obstacle. The water is sentient, its rage palpable, and brute force will not help her here. Closing her eyes, she reaches deep within herself, drawing on the soothing magic she used in the forest. Her hands tremble as she begins to weave the spell, her voice soft but steady, each word carrying a gentle warmth that she sends toward the water. At first, the waves crash harder, as if resisting her efforts, but gradually, the fury begins to subside. The water stills, its surface smoothing into a mirror-like calm. A faint hum resonates through the air, almost like a voice, and Alara feels a connection forming, a fragile, tentative understanding between her and the moat. The water parts, revealing a narrow path of stone leading to the tower. Alara hesitates for only a moment before stepping forward, her boots clicking softly against the ancient stones. The whispers in her mind grow louder, guiding her toward the tower's entrance. Inside, the air is thick with dust and the scent of age-old parchment. Light filters through cracks in the walls, illuminating a single pedestal at the center of the room. Resting atop it is a map, its surface etched with glowing runes that pulse faintly, as if alive. Alara's fingers brush against the map, and the runes flare brighter, revealing intricate details of a distant mountain range. The whispers confirm what she already suspects: this is where she must go. But as she studies the map, a chill runs down her spine. The whispers shift, their tone growing darker, warning her of others who seek the Brotherhood's secrets. These seekers are not like her. Their intentions are far from noble. The map is a key, but it is also a beacon, and she is not the only one who can follow its trail. The weight of her journey settles heavily on her shoulders. She is no longer just a curious mage from a quiet village. She is a guardian of something far greater, something others would kill to possess. The tower, with its crumbling walls and sentient moat, feels like a test one she has passed, but only the first of many. Alara carefully rolls the map and tucks it into her pack, her mind racing with questions. Who are these others? What do they want? And how far will they go to claim the Brotherhood's secrets? As she steps back into the clearing, the moat's water swirls gently, almost as if bidding her farewell. The path ahead is uncertain, fraught with danger and mystery, but Alara knows there is no turning back. The whispers guide her once more, their urgency tempered with a quiet reassurance. The mountain range looms in the distance, its peaks shrouded in clouds, and the journey to reach it will be long and perilous. But for now, she takes a moment to steady herself, to breathe in the crisp air and gather her resolve. The first steps of her quest are behind her, but the true test lies ahead. The journey from the forest to the coast is long, the landscape shifting from dense woodlands to rolling hills and finally to the salty tang of the sea. Elara arrives at the bustling port town of Windhaven, its narrow streets alive with the clamor of merchants, sailors, and travelers from distant lands. The air is thick with the scent of fish and spices, the sound of waves crashing against the docks, a constant rhythm beneath the hum of activity. It's a place of chaos and opportunity, where secrets are traded as freely as goods, and Alara knows she must tread carefully. The whispers guide her through the maze of cobblestone streets, their tone urgent yet steady. She finds herself drawn to the edge of the harbor, where a ship, unlike any other, sits anchored. Its name, the Moonchaser, is etched into its hull in elegant script, and its sails shimmer faintly, as if woven from starlight. The rumors she overhears in the taverns confirm what the whispers have already told her. This ship sails only under the light of the full moon, and its captain, a weathered man named Kale, is both revered and feared. Kale is a figure of legend, his face lined with the marks of countless voyages, and his eyes sharp with the wisdom of someone who has seen far too much. When Alara approaches him, he studies her with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. She explains her need to reach the mountain range marked on the map, and after a long silence, he agrees, but there's a price. A storm has haunted his crew for weeks, its fury unrelenting, and he believes her magic might be the key to calming it. That night, as the full moon rises, Alara stands on the deck of the Moonchaser, the wind whipping through her hair and the scent of salt stinging her nose. The storm rolls in with a vengeance, its thunder shaking the ship and its lightning illuminating the churning waves. Alara closes her eyes, her hands trembling as she reaches for the soothing magic within her. The whispers guide her, their rhythm steadying her as she begins to chant, her voice rising above the roar of the storm. The words flow from her like a melody, each syllable carrying a warmth that spreads through the air. Slowly, the storm begins to relent. The waves grow calmer, the wind softer, until the sea is as still as glass beneath the moonlight. The crew erupts into cheers, their relief palpable, but Kale's gaze on Alara is thoughtful, almost calculating. He nods once, a silent acknowledgement of her power, and for the first time, she feels a flicker of trust between them. But as the ship prepares to set sail, the whispers in her mind grow sharp, their tone urgent. Alara turns, her eyes scanning the docks, and there, half hidden in the shadows, is a figure. Cloaked in darkness, their presence is unsettling, their gaze fixed on her with an intensity that sends a shiver down her spine. The whispers warn her, their voice a low hum of caution. This shadowy watcher is not a friend, and their intentions are as murky as the depths of the sea. Alara doesn't have time to dwell on it. The The ship sets sail, its course set for the distant mountain range, and she knows the journey ahead will test her in ways she can't yet imagine. The whispers continue to guide her, their tone a mix of reassurance and warning, but one thing is clear: the shadow on the docks is only the beginning. The path to the Brotherhood's secrets grows more perilous with each step, and Alara must stay vigilant. The sea is calm now, but the storm within her heart is just beginning to stir. The sea stretches endlessly around the Moonchaser, its surface shimmering under the pale light of the moon. Alara leans against the ship's railing, the cool breeze brushing against her face as she gazes into the dark waters below. The journey has been calm since the storm, but the whispers in her mind remain restless, their hum a constant reminder of the urgency of her quest. It's in this quiet moment that she hears the soft strum of a lute, the notes weaving through the air like a gentle melody. Turning, she sees a woman seated on a barrel, her fingers dancing across the strings. This is Lyra, a bard whose voice carries the weight of countless stories. Lyra's presence is magnetic, her smile warm, and her eyes bright with curiosity. She introduces herself with a flourish, her words as lyrical as her music. When Alara mentions the Arcane Brotherhood, Lyra's expression shifts, her playful demeanor giving way to something more solemn. "Ah, the Brotherhood," she says, her voice lowering. Their tale is one of power, pride, and betrayal. Legends say they were undone not by their enemies, but by their own. The bard's stories paint a vivid picture of the Brotherhood's glory days, their mastery of magic, their grand halls filled with the hum of arcane energy, and their influence that stretched across the realms. But Lyra's tone darkens as she speaks of their fall. "There was a traitor among them," she murmurs, her fingers stilling on the lute. "Someone they trusted, someone who turned the Brotherhood's own power against them." The halls fell silent, the mages vanished, and their secrets were lost to the ages, or so it seemed. Alara listens intently, her mind racing. The whispers in her thoughts echo Lyra's words, their tone growing more urgent. Could the Brotherhood's downfall truly have been caused by betrayal? And if so, what does that mean for her journey? Before she can ponder further, a sudden jolt shakes the ship, nearly throwing her off balance. The calm sea erupts into chaos as monstrous shapes rise from the depths, their scales glistening and their eyes glowing with a predatory gleam. The crew springs into action, their shouts mingling with the roar of the creatures. Alara's heart pounds as one of the beasts lunges toward the deck, its massive jaws snapping dangerously close. Instinct takes over. She raises her hands, the tome's energy surging through her, and begins to chant. The words feel foreign yet familiar, her voice trembling but determined. A burst of light erupts from her palms, striking the creature and sending it reeling back into the sea. The battle is brief but intense, the ship rocked by the thrashing of the monsters. Alara's magic proves a formidable weapon, but when the last creature retreats into the depths, she's left trembling, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The adrenaline fades, replaced by a hollow ache in her chest. She's never used her magic like this before, never felt the raw power coursing through her veins, never felt the weight of what it means to wield it. Lyra approaches, her expression a mix of awe and concern. "You saved us," she says softly, placing a hand on Alara's shoulder. "But I can see it in your eyes. This isn't the life you're used to, is it?" Alara shakes her head, her throat tight. The peaceful mornings in Ember Hollow, the warmth of her family's hearth, the simplicity of her old life, they feel like a distant dream now. The whispers in her mind grow louder, their urgency impossible to ignore. They urge her forward, toward the mountain range that looms on the horizon, its peaks shrouded in mist and mystery. The ship sails on, the sea calm once more, but the storm within Alara has only just begun. She glances at Lyra, the bard's presence a comforting anchor in the chaos. The stories of betrayal, the attack, the weight of her magic, it all swirls together in her mind, a tapestry of questions and fears. But one thing is certain, there's no turning back now. The whispers guide her, their hum a constant reminder of the path ahead, and Alara knows she must face whatever comes next. The mountains await, their secrets calling to her, and the journey is far from over. The ship docks at last on a rocky shore, the mountain range towering above them like silent giants. Alara steps onto the jagged stones, her boots crunching against the gravel as she gazes up at the peaks. The air is thinner here, crisp and sharp, carrying a faint metallic tang that reminds her of magic. Lyra follows close behind, her lute slung over her shoulder, and her eyes scanning the cliffs with a mix of awe and apprehension. The whispers in Alara's mind grow louder, their hum a steady rhythm, guiding her toward a narrow crevice hidden among the rocks. It's almost imperceptible, but the faint glow of arcane energy pulses softly around its edges, a telltale sign of ancient wards. Alara approaches the crevice cautiously, her fingers brushing against the air as if testing its resistance. The wards shimmer faintly, their patterns intricate and deliberate, designed to keep intruders at bay. She closes her eyes, letting the whispers guide her, their voice a low murmur in her thoughts. The process is slow and deliberate, each step requiring precision and focus. Her hands move in fluid motions, tracing invisible lines in the air as she chants under her breath. The energy around her shifts, the wards flickering like dying embers before collapsing entirely. The effort leaves her breathless, her legs trembling as she takes a step back. The whispers hum with approval, but their tone is tinged with concern. Lyra steadies her with a firm hand, her brow furrowed. "That took a lot out of you," she observes, her voice soft but laced with worry. Alara nods, her chest heaving as she catches her breath. She knows this is only the beginning. The cave ahead looms like a dark maw, its entrance shrouded in shadow, but the whispers urge her forward. Inside, the air is cool and damp, the walls slick with moisture. The faint glow of the wards outside casts just enough light to reveal a sprawling mural carved into the stone. The figures are intricate, their forms frozen in time, telling a story that spans centuries. Alara steps closer, her fingers brushing against the carvings as she studies the scenes. The Brotherhood's rise is depicted in vivid detail, their mastery of magic, their grand halls filled with arcane energy, their influence reaching across the realms. But the mural takes a darker turn, showing their fall. A single figure, cloaked in shadow, stands at the center of the chaos, their betrayal unraveling the Brotherhood from within. The whispers in Alara's mind grow somber, their tone mirroring the weight of the story before her. The final panel depicts a ritual, its details intricate and precise. It's a ritual of restoration, a way to reclaim the Brotherhood's lost power. But beneath it, etched in jagged runes, is a warning. A curse befell those who sought the Brotherhood's secrets, their fates sealed by their own ambition. Alara's heart pounds as she steps back, the weight of the mural pressing down on her. Lyra's voice breaks the silence, her tone thoughtful. "It's a crossroads," she says, her eyes fixed on the mural. A chance to restore something lost, but at a cost. Not everyone who walks this path comes back. The whispers hum in agreement, their tone a mix of encouragement and caution. Alara knows the choice before her isn't an easy one. To continue means risking everything: her safety, her future, perhaps even her soul. But to turn back now would mean leaving the Brotherhood's secrets buried, their power lost to time. She glances at Lyra, the bard's expression unreadable, then back at the mural. The ritual glows faintly, its runes pulsing as if alive, calling to her. The cave is silent, the weight of the decision pressing down on her shoulders. The whispers grow softer, their hum almost gentle, as if giving her space to think. Alara takes a deep breath, her mind racing. The risks are great, but so too are the possibilities. The path ahead is shrouded in uncertainty, but one thing is clear: the choice she makes now will define her journey, and perhaps her destiny. The narrow passage beyond the mural winds deeper into the mountain, its walls rough and uneven, carved by time and the hands of those who came before. Alara and Lyra move cautiously, the faint glow of the tome's runes lighting their way. The air grows colder, each breath hanging in the stillness like a ghost. The whispers in Alara's mind hum softly, their rhythm steady but insistent, guiding her forward. She can feel the weight of the mountain pressing down, not just physically, but in the way the silence seems to hold its breath, waiting for something or someone. The passage opens into a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadow and its floor littered with ancient debris. At its center stands a temple, its stone walls etched with runes that pulse faintly with arcane energy. The sight is both awe-inspiring and foreboding, a testament to the Brotherhood's power and the peril that comes with seeking their secrets. Lyra lets out a low whistle, her voice echoing softly in the chamber. "This is it," she murmurs, her tone a mix of reverence and unease. The heart of the Brotherhood's legacy. As they step into the temple, the air shifts, a subtle but unmistakable change that sets Alara's nerves on edge. The whispers grow sharper, their tone urgent, as though warning her of what lies ahead. The first trap is almost invisible, a series of pressure plates hidden beneath the stone floor. Alara's keen instincts save them, her foot hovering just above the plate before she steps back, her heart racing. Together, she and Lyra navigate the maze of traps, their movements careful and deliberate. Each step feels like a test, a challenge to prove their worth, but the traps are not the only obstacles. The temple is alive with illusions, their magic twisting reality into something unrecognizable. One moment, Alara is standing beside Lyra. The next, she is alone, the walls of the temple melting away to reveal a scene from her past. She is back in Ember Hollow, the cottage warm and inviting, her family gathered around the hearth. But something is wrong. Their voices are distant, their faces blurred, as though she is seeing them through a veil. The illusion tugs at her heart, a cruel reminder of what she has left behind. The whispers in her mind grow louder, their tone firm but gentle. This is not real, they remind her, their voice a steady anchor in the storm of her emotions. Alara closes her eyes, focusing on the soothing magic that has carried her this far. Her hands tremble as she begins to chant, the words flowing from her lips like a bomb. The illusion shatters, the warmth of the cottage fading as the cold stone walls of the temple return. The experience leaves her shaken, her breath coming in shallow gasps. Elara places a hand on her shoulder, her touch grounding. "You're stronger than you think," she says softly, her voice carrying a quiet strength. "But this place, it doesn't just test your skills. It tests your heart." The temple's challenges grow more intense as they press on, each trap an illusion more intricate than the last. Alara's soothing magic becomes her lifeline, its gentle warmth countering the temple's cold, relentless tests. But the toll is evident. Her movements grow slower, her focus harder to maintain. The whispers in her mind grow more urgent, their tone edged with desperation. They speak of time slipping away, of a danger drawing closer with each passing moment. As they reach the temple's inner sanctum, the whispers fall silent, their absence almost deafening. The air is thick with anticipation, the weight of what lies ahead pressing down on Alara's shoulders. She knows the next step will be the hardest yet, but there is no turning back. The temple has tested her resolve, her courage, and her heart. Now, it is time to face whatever lies beyond. The inner sanctum of the temple is unlike anything Alara has ever seen. The air hums with energy, a low, resonant vibration that seems to echo through her very bones. The chamber is vast, its walls lined with shelves that groan under the weight of countless artifacts, scrolls, crystals, and relics that pulse faintly with arcane light. At the center of the room stands a pedestal, and atop it rests a staff. Its surface is smooth and dark, etched with runes that glow faintly, their light shifting like liquid silver. The staff hums with the same energy as the tome, a familiar warmth that draws Alara closer. Elara lingers near the entrance, her eyes wide as she takes in the room. "This place feels alive," she murmurs, her voice barely audible over the hum of the chamber. Alara nods, her focus narrowing on the staff. The whispers in her mind grow louder, their tone urgent but reverent, as though they've been waiting for this moment. She reaches out, her fingers trembling as they brush against the staff's surface. The moment her skin makes contact, the chamber vanishes. Alara is no longer standing in the temple, but swept into a vision, vivid and overwhelming. She sees the Brotherhood in their final days, their grand halls alive with the hum of magic. The mages move with purpose, their robes swirling as they chant in unison, their voices rising in a symphony of power. But then, a shadow falls over the scene. A figure steps forward, cloaked in darkness, their face obscured. The betrayal is swift and brutal. The mages turn on one another, their unity shattered as the halls descend into chaos. Alara feels the weight of their despair, their anger, their grief. The vision shifts, showing the aftermath, the halls empty, the magic drained, the Brotherhood's legacy reduced to whispers and dust. The whispers in her mind grow louder, their voices overlapping as they reveal themselves. They are the spirits of the Brotherhood, their essence bound to the artifacts, their voices a desperate plea for restoration. "You are the one we've been waiting for," they say, their voices echoing in unison. Complete the ritual, restore what was lost. The vision fades, and Alara finds herself back in the chamber, her hand still gripping the staff. The weight of what she's seen presses down on her, the betrayal and the Brotherhood's fall etched into her mind. Elara steps closer, her expression a mix of awe and concern. "What did you see?" she asks, her voice soft. Alara takes a deep breath, her grip tightening on the staff. "I saw their end," she says, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions within her. "And I saw what needs to be done." The whispers guide her to the center of the chamber, where a circle of runes glows faintly on the floor. The ritual is complex, its steps precise, but the whispers guide her through each one. As she begins to chant, the runes flare brighter, their light filling the room, but then the whispers grow somber, their tone shifting. The ritual requires a sacrifice, they say, their voices heavy with regret. "A piece of your own magic." Alara hesitates, her chest tightening. Her magic is part of who she is, a gift she's only just begun to understand. To give it up feels like losing a piece of herself. But the faces of the Brotherhood linger in her mind, their desperation, their hope. She knows what she must do. Closing her eyes, she focuses on the magic within her, the warmth that has guided her this far. With a deep breath, she begins the final step of the ritual, her voice trembling but resolute. The runes flare brighter, their light consuming the room, and Alara feels a sharp, searing pain as a piece of her magic is drawn out, absorbed into the circle. The light fades, and the chamber falls silent. Alara sways on her feet, her legs buckling as the weight of the sacrifice hits her. Elara is there in an instant, steadying her, her hands firm but gentle. "You did it," she says, her voice filled with admiration. The whispers return, their tones softer now, almost reverent. "Thank you," they say, their voices carrying a quiet gratitude. "You have given us hope." Alara looks around the chamber, the artifacts glowing brighter now, their light steady and warm. The Brotherhood's legacy is not yet restored, but the first step has been taken. The path ahead is still uncertain, the risks great, but Alara knows she's made the right choice. As she and Elara prepare to leave the temple, the whispers remain, their presence a quiet reassurance. The journey is far from over, but for now, Alara allows herself a moment of quiet triumph. She has faced the temple's challenges, embraced its mysteries, and taken the first step toward restoring a legacy that might have been lost forever. The road ahead is long, but the whispers guide her, their voices a steady hum in her thoughts, and she knows she is not alone. The chamber grows still, the air thick with anticipation, as Alara steps into the circle of runes. The staff in her hand hums faintly, its energy resonating with the whispers in her mind. She closes her eyes, drawing in a deep breath, and begins to channel her soothing magic. The ritual demands precision, each movement deliberate, each word a thread in the tapestry of ancient power. Her magic flows like a gentle stream, weaving through the runes, filling the chamber with a soft, golden light. The whispers grow louder, their voices blending into a harmonious chant as the spirits of the Brotherhood stir, their presence palpable in the air around her. The temple begins to tremble, the ground beneath her feet shaking as the runes flare brighter, their light piercing the shadows. The walls seem to come alive, the ancient carvings glowing with renewed energy. The whispers reach a crescendo, their voices triumphant, and for a moment, it feels as though the Brotherhood itself is awakening, their power surging through the chamber. But then, the air shifts. A cold, sharp presence cuts through the warmth of the ritual, and Alara's eyes snap open. Standing at the edge of the circle is the shadowy figure from the docks, his cloak billowing as if alive. His face is shrouded in darkness, but his eyes gleam with a predatory light. He steps forward, his voice low and mocking. "You've done well, little mage," he says, his tone dripping with disdain. But the Brotherhood's power is not for the likes of you. Alara's heart pounds as she tightens her grip on the staff. The rogue mage raises a hand, and the air crackles with raw, chaotic energy. He strikes without warning, a bolt of dark magic surging toward her. She reacts instinctively, raising the staff to block the attack. The impact sends her stumbling back, her arms trembling from the force. The battle is fierce, the chamber echoing with the clash of magic. The rogue mage is relentless, his attacks wild and unpredictable, each one a test of Alara's skill and resolve. She counters with her soothing magic, its gentle warmth a stark contrast to his chaotic fury, but the strain is immense. Her magic, already weakened by the ritual, begins to falter, her movements growing slower, her focus harder to maintain. Desperation fuels her as she pushes forward, her mind racing. The whispers guide her, their voices steady despite the chaos. She channels the last of her strength into the staff, its runes flaring brighter as she unleashes a wave of pure, radiant energy. The rogue mage falters, his dark magic crumbling under the force of her spell. With a final desperate cry, he collapses, his form dissolving into shadow as the chamber falls silent once more. Alara drops to her knees, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The staff slips from her grasp, its light fading as the whispers in her mind grow softer, their tone grateful but somber. She can feel the cost of the battle, the toll it has taken on her magic. It's as if a part of her has been drained, leaving her hollow and exhausted. Lyra rushes to her side, her hands steady as she helps Alara to her feet. "You did it," she says, her voice filled with awe. But at what cost? Alara doesn't answer immediately, her gaze fixed on the staff. The whispers hum faintly, their voices a quiet reminder of what she's achieved. The Brotherhood's spirits are free, their legacy no longer bound to the shadows. But the victory feels bittersweet, the weight of her sacrifice pressing heavily on her shoulders. The temple is quiet now, its energy subdued, as though it too is catching its breath. The path ahead remains uncertain, the journey far from over, but for now, Alara allows herself a moment of quiet reflection, the whispers a steady presence in her thoughts. She has faced the darkness and emerged victorious, but the cost of that victory is a reminder that power, and the choices that come with it, always comes at a price. The chamber falls silent, the echoes of the battle fading into the stillness. Alara stands at the center of the runes, her body trembling with exhaustion, but her spirit alight with a quiet triumph. The whispers in her mind, once a cacophony of voices, now coalesce into a single, resonant tone. They speak as one, their voices filled with gratitude and a solemn reverence. "Thank you," they say, their words carrying a weight that sinks deep into Alara's soul. "You have done what no other could." The Brotherhood's legacy lives on because of you. As the spirits speak, a warm, golden light envelops her. It pulses gently, like a heartbeat, and she feels a rush of knowledge flood her mind. Visions flash before her ancient rituals, forgotten spells, and the Brotherhood's most closely guarded secrets. But amidst the sea of knowledge, one truth stands clear. The Brotherhood's purpose was never about power for its own sake. They were guardians, tasked with maintaining the delicate balance of the world. Their magic was a shield, a force of harmony that kept darker forces at bay. Alara's breath catches as the weight of this revelation settles over her. The whispers continue, their tone now tinged with urgency. The balance has been broken, they say. With our fall, the world has grown vulnerable. Dark forces stir, seeking to exploit the chaos. You must take up our mantle, Alara. The task now falls to you. The light fades, leaving her standing in the quiet chamber, her mind racing with the enormity of what she's learned. The whispers grow softer, their voices fading into the stillness, but their presence lingers in the warmth of the staff she holds. Elara steps closer, her expression a mix of awe and concern. "What did they tell you?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Alara turns to her, her gaze steady despite the storm of emotions within her. "The Brotherhood wasn't just a group of mages," she says. "They were protectors. Their magic kept the world in balance. And now it's up to us to restore that balance." Elara nods, her usual playfulness replaced by a quiet determination. "Then we'd better get moving," she says, her voice firm. "The world's not going to fix itself." Together, they leave the temple, stepping out into the crisp mountain air. The sun has risen, its golden light bathing the peaks in a warm glow, but the beauty of the moment is lost on Alara. Her mind is already racing ahead, piecing together the fragments of knowledge the spirits have given her. She knows the road ahead will be long and fraught with danger, but she also knows she can't turn back. The weight of the Brotherhood's legacy is now hers to carry, and with it comes a responsibility she can't ignore. As they descend the mountain, the whispers in her mind are silent, their absence almost unsettling, but the staff in her hand hums faintly, its energy a quiet reminder of the task ahead. Alara glances at Elara, the bard's presence a grounding force in the midst of her swirling thoughts. "Where do we start?" Elara asks, her tone light, but her eyes serious. Alara takes a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs. "We find the others," she says, "the ones who still remember the Brotherhood's teachings, and we prepare." The darkness won't wait, and neither can we. The journey ahead is uncertain, the path uncharted, but Alara feels a flicker of hope. She is no longer just a mage from a quiet village. She is a guardian, a keeper of balance, and though the task is daunting, she knows she is not alone. The spirits may have faded, but their legacy lives on, in her, in the staff, and in the whispers of a world that still remembers the light of the Arcane Brotherhood. As they walk, the sun climbs higher, its light chasing away the shadows of the night. The road stretches before them, winding and unknown, but Alara steps forward with resolve. The journey is far from over, but for the first time, she feels ready to face whatever lies ahead. The journey back to Windhaven is long and arduous, the weight of the mountain's revelations pressing heavily on Alara as she and Elara make their way through the rugged terrain. The staff hums faintly in her hand, its energy a quiet reminder of the task ahead. But the whispers in her mind remain silent, their absence leaving her feeling oddly adrift. When they finally reach the port town, the sight that greets them is anything but welcoming. Windhaven, once a bustling hub of trade and life, is now a shadow of its former self. The streets are eerily quiet, the usual clamor replaced by an unsettling stillness. Dark tendrils of magic coil through the air, twisting around buildings and creeping along the cobblestones like living shadows. Townsfolk huddle in doorways, their faces drawn and their eyes hollow, as though the very life has been drained from them. Alara's heart sinks as she takes in the scene. "This wasn't here before," she murmurs, her voice tight with worry. Lyra nods, her usual playful demeanor replaced by a grim seriousness. "Whatever that rogue mage was part of, it's spreading," she says, her gaze scanning the darkened streets. As they move deeper into the town, the source of the chaos becomes clear. Symbols etched in black ash mark the walls, their jagged lines pulsing faintly with a malevolent energy. The air is thick with the scent of decay, and the faint sound of chanting echoes in the distance. Alara's grip tightens on the staff as she realizes the truth. The rogue mage was not acting alone. He was part of a larger group, one that seeks to exploit the Brotherhood's power for their own dark purposes. The townsfolk begin to notice them, their hollow eyes lighting up with a flicker of hope. One by one, they approach, their voices trembling as they speak of the plague that has gripped the town. "It came out of nowhere," a woman says, clutching a child close to her chest. People started falling ill, their strength sapped, their minds clouded, and then the shadows came. Alara listens, her heart aching at their suffering. She knows she must act, but the toll of the temple's trials and the ritual has left her magic weakened. Still, she raises the staff, its runes glowing faintly as she begins to channel what remains of her soothing magic. The warm, golden light spreads through the air, its gentle radiance pushing back the dark tendrils and bringing a measure of relief to the townsfolk. For a moment, the shadows recede and the air feels lighter, but the effort leaves Alara breathless, her legs trembling as she lowers the staff. Lyra steadies her, her expression a mix of admiration and concern. "You can't keep this up alone," she says softly. Alara nods, her chest heaving as she catches her breath. She knows Lyra is right. The dark magic is too powerful, its roots too deep for her to handle on her own. The realization settles over her like a heavy cloak. She cannot restore the Brotherhood's legacy or protect the world from the rising darkness by herself. She needs allies, others who understand the stakes, who can wield magic with the same purpose and resolve. The thought sparks a flicker of hope amidst the despair. If she can find them, if she can unite those who still remember the Brotherhood's teachings, perhaps they can stand against the tide of darkness. Lyra places a hand on her shoulder, her touch grounding. "Where do we start?" she asks, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Alara takes a deep breath, her mind racing. "We find the others," she says, her voice firm. "The ones who still hold the light. Together, we'll restore the balance. The road ahead is uncertain, the challenge is immense, but Alara feels a flicker of determination ignite within her. The shadows may be spreading, but the light of the Brotherhood's legacy still burns within her, within the staff, and within those who have yet to join her cause. The journey is far from over, but for the first time, Alara knows she doesn't have to face it alone. As they leave Windhaven behind, the sun dips below the horizon, its fading light casting long shadows across the land. But even in the gathering darkness, Alara feels a spark of hope. The path ahead is clear, and with each step, she moves closer to the allies who will help her protect the world from the rising tide of darkness. Alara and Elara set their sights on the distant city of Solara, a place renowned for its towering spires and bustling academies, where scholars and mages gather to study the arcane. The journey is long, the days blending into nights as they traverse rolling plains and dense forests, the weight of their mission pressing on them like a second shadow. The staff hums faintly in Alara's hand, its energy a constant reminder of the stakes they face. When they finally arrive, the city is a marvel of stone and light, its streets alive with the hum of activity. Scholars in flowing robes move with purpose, their arms laden with scrolls, while apprentices dart through the crowds, their faces alight with curiosity. Alara feels a flicker of hope as she takes it all in. If there is a place to find allies, it is here. Their search leads them to the quieter edges of the city, where the buildings grow older and the streets narrower. At the end of a winding alley, they find a modest shop with a faded sign that reads, "Thorn's Apothecary." The air around the shop is thick with the scent of herbs and something sharper, metallic and faintly electric. Inside, the walls are lined with jars of strange ingredients, their contents ranging from shimmering powders to dried roots that seem to pulse faintly. A man emerges from the shadows, his movements slow and deliberate. Thorn is tall and lean, his face framed by a graying beard, and his eyes sharp with an intensity that makes Alara feel as though he can see straight through her. He studies them for a long moment before speaking, his voice low and gravelly. "You've come a long way," he says, his gaze lingering on the staff in Alara's hand. "And you carry more than just a relic." Alara steps forward, her voice steady despite the weight of his scrutiny. "We need your help," she says. "The Brotherhood's legacy is in danger, and the world is at risk. We've heard you might know something about their rituals." Thorn's expression softens, a flicker of something like recognition passing over his face. He gestures for them to follow him deeper into the shop, where a cluttered table sits beneath a flickering lantern. "The Brotherhood's rituals are not something to be taken lightly," he says, his tone grave. "They were meant to preserve balance, not to be wielded as weapons, but there are those who would twist their power for their own ends." He pauses, his gaze shifting to the staff. "The rogue mages you've encountered are led by a sorcerer named Malachar," he continues, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. "He was once a scholar here, brilliant but consumed by ambition. He believes the Brotherhood's power can be harnessed to reshape the world in his image, and if he succeeds, the consequences will be catastrophic." Alara's stomach twists at the name, the image of the shadowy figure from the docks flashing in her mind. "How do we stop him?" she asks, her voice trembling despite her best efforts to keep it steady. Thorn leans forward, his eyes locking onto hers. "You'll need more than just the staff," he says. The rituals require precision, knowledge, and allies. Malachar is not working alone, and neither can you, but be warned. The path ahead is fraught with danger. The closer you get to the truth, the more desperate he will become. The room falls silent, the weight of his words settling over them like a heavy cloak. Elara breaks the silence, her voice light but laced with determination. "Well, we didn't come this far to turn back now," she says, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Thorn nods, a hint of respect in his eyes. "Good," he says. "Then let's get to work." As the lantern's light flickers, casting long shadows across the room, Alara feels a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead is uncertain, the dangers great, but for the first time, she feels as though they might have a chance. Thorn's knowledge could be the key to unlocking the Brotherhood's secrets, and to stopping Malachar before it's too late. With the city of Solara bustling outside and the weight of their mission pressing ever closer, Alara, Elara, and Thorn begin to piece together the fragments of the Brotherhood's legacy, knowing that every step brings them closer to a confrontation that could decide the fate of the world. Thorn leads Alara and Elara through a maze of narrow alleyways, the city's noise fading with each step until they reach an unassuming door tucked beneath a crumbling archway. He produces a rusted key from his pocket, its surface etched with faint runes, and unlocks the door with a soft click. The air inside is cool and heavy, carrying the scent of old parchment and damp stone. A steep staircase descends into darkness, its steps worn smooth by centuries of use. Beneath Solara lies a secret, Thorn says, his voice echoing as they descend. A library of forbidden knowledge, hidden from those who would misuse it. If there's a way to stop Malachar, it will be here. The library is a cavernous space, its walls lined with towering shelves that stretch into the shadows. Ancient tomes and scrolls fill every inch, their spines cracked and yellowed with age. The air hums faintly, as though the knowledge itself is alive, waiting to be awakened. Thorn moves with purpose, his fingers brushing against the spines of books until he finds what he's looking for. A heavy tome bound in black leather, its surface etched with runes that glow faintly as he opens it. "This," he says, his tone grave, "is the key to countering Malachar's plans. A spell of purification, designed to undo the corruption he seeks to spread. But it comes at a cost." Elara leans in, her eyes scanning the intricate script. The spell is complex, its steps precise, but one requirement stands out: the heart of a flower known as the Luminara, a rare bloom that grows only in the heart of the cursed forest. The name alone sends a chill through her. The forest is a place of legend, whispered about in hushed tones, a place where few who enter ever return. Elara lets out a low whistle, her usual levity replaced by a sharp edge. The cursed forest, that's not exactly a stroll through the meadow. People say the forest itself is alive, and it doesn't take kindly to visitors. Thorn nods, his expression grim. The Luminara is no ordinary flower. It blooms only under the light of a waning moon, and its petals are said to hold the essence of pure magic. But the forest, it's a place of trials. It will test you, body and soul. Many have entered seeking its secrets. Few have returned. Alara's mind races as she considers the choice before her. The spell is their best hope, but the cost is steep. The The forest's dangers are well documented, its reputation a tapestry of warnings and horror stories. Yet the thought of Malachar unchecked, his dark magic spreading unchecked, is a far greater threat. She looks to Elara, who meets her gaze with a steady nod. "We've come this far," the bard says, her voice firm. "If this is what it takes, then we'll face it together." Thorn watches them both, his expression unreadable. "The choice is yours," he says, "but know this, the forest will not yield its secrets easily. It will force you to confront your deepest fears, your darkest doubts. Only those who face themselves honestly can hope to succeed." The weight of his words settles over Alara like a heavy cloak. She knows the risks, knows the forest could claim her life. But she also knows that turning back now would mean abandoning the world to Malachar's darkness. The staff in her hand hums faintly, its energy a quiet reminder of the responsibility she carries. "We'll go," she says, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions within her. "If the Luminara is the key, then we'll find it." Thorn nods, a flicker of respect in his eyes. "Then prepare yourselves," he says. "The forest awaits, and it will not be kind." As they leave the library, the weight of their decision presses heavily on Alara's shoulders. The path ahead is uncertain, the dangers great, but she knows there is no other choice. The cursed forest looms in the distance, its shadowy depths a challenge and a warning. But within its heart lies the key to stopping Malachar, and the chance to restore the balance the Brotherhood once protected. The journey to the forest will be treacherous, the trials within even more so. But Alara steps forward with resolve, the whispers of the Brotherhood's legacy guiding her. The road ahead is dark, but the light of the Luminara and the hope it represents shines like a beacon in the distance. The journey to the cursed forest is a long and silent one, the weight of what lies ahead pressing heavily on Alara, Elara, and Thorn. The forest looms in the distance, its towering trees shrouded in a perpetual mist that seems to pulse faintly with a sinister energy. As they approach, the air grows colder, and the once vibrant landscape fades into a bleak, lifeless expanse. The forest itself feels alive, its twisted branches reaching out like grasping claws, and the faint hum of the staff in Alara's hand grows sharper, as though warning her of the dangers within. The moment they cross the tree line, the forest's curse takes hold. The air grows heavy, each breath labored, and the faint whispers of malevolent spirits echo through the shadows. Twisted creatures emerge from the undergrowth, their forms grotesque and unnatural, their eyes glowing with a feral hunger. Alara raises the staff, her soothing magic flaring to life as she channels its energy into a protective barrier. The creatures recoil, their hisses of anger filling the air, but they do not retreat entirely. Instead, they linger at the edges of the light, watching, waiting. As they press deeper into the forest, the curse begins to seep into Alara's mind. Faint whispers brush against her thoughts, their voices soft but insidious, planting seeds of doubt and fear. At first, she dismisses them, focusing on the task at hand, but the whispers grow louder, their tone shifting from subtle suggestions to outright accusations. They twist her memories, warping moments of triumph into failures, turning her resolve into hesitation. "You're not strong enough," the voices murmur, their words echoing in her mind. You'll fail, just like the Brotherhood did. You'll doom them all. Alara's steps falter, her grip on the staff tightening as she fights to push the voices aside. Elara notices her distress and places a hand on her shoulder, her touch grounding. "Don't listen to them," she says, her voice firm. "The forest feeds on fear. It wants you to doubt yourself." Thorn, ever pragmatic, pulls a small vial from his coat and hands it to Alara. "Drink this," he says. "It will help clear your mind, but it won't last long." We need to move quickly. The potion helps, its bitter taste sharp and bracing, but the whispers remain, a constant hum in the back of her mind. She pushes forward, her determination unwavering even as the forest's curse gnaws at her sanity. The deeper they go, the more the forest seems to shift, its paths twisting and turning in impossible ways. The creatures grow bolder, their attacks more frequent, but Alara's soothing magic holds them at bay, its gentle warmth a stark contrast to the forest's cold malevolence. At last, they reach a small clearing, bathed in an eerie, silver light. In its center grows the Luminara, its petals glowing faintly, their light pure and radiant against the darkness. The sight fills Alara with a flicker of hope, but it is short-lived. A low growl rumbles through the clearing, and the ground trembles as a massive, shadowy beast emerges from the trees. Its form is indistinct, a swirling mass of darkness with glowing red eyes that pierce the gloom. The forest's guardian, its presence radiating a primal, terrifying power. The beast lunges without warning, its movements swift and deadly. Alara reacts instinctively, raising the staff as she channels her soothing magic into a burst of radiant energy. The blast strikes the creature, forcing it back, but it does little more than enrage it. The guardian roars, its voice shaking the trees, and charges again. The battle is intense, the air thick with the clash of magic and the beast's furious snarls. Alara's magic proves invaluable, its warmth countering the creature's cold fury, but the strain is immense. The whispers in her mind grow louder, their tone mocking, as the curse threatens to overwhelm her. "You can't win," they taunt. "The forest will consume you, just like it has so many others." But Alara refuses to yield. The faces of those she's vowed to protect her family, Elara, Thorn, even the spirits of the Brotherhood flash in her mind, their presence a reminder of what's at stake. With a cry of defiance, she channels the last of her strength into the staff, its runes flaring brighter than ever before. The burst of light engulfs the guardian, its form dissolving into shadow as the clearing falls silent. For a moment, there is only stillness. Then, the Luminara's glow intensifies, its light spreading through the clearing and pushing back the forest's darkness. The whispers fade, their voices silenced, and the air grows lighter. Alara sways on her feet, her legs buckling as the weight of the battle hits her. Elara is there in an instant, steadying her, while Thorn moves to retrieve the flower. "We have what we came for," he says, his voice filled with quiet respect. "But we must leave quickly. The forest will not stay quiet for long." As they make their way back, the forest seems less hostile, its shadows retreating as the Luminara's light guides them. Alara's mind is clearer, the whispers gone, but the toll of the journey is evident. Her magic is spent, her body exhausted, but her resolve remains unshaken. The road ahead is still uncertain, the dangers great, but Alara knows they have taken a crucial step. The Luminara is more than just a flower. It is a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest places, light can still be found. And with it, they stand a chance against Malachar's rising darkness. As they step out of the forest and into the fading light of day, Alara takes a moment to breathe, the weight of their victory tempered by the knowledge of what still lies ahead. The journey is far from over, but for now, they have the key they need and the strength to keep fighting. The clearing falls silent as the shadowy beast dissolves into nothingness, its form unraveling like smoke in the wind. Alara stands at the center, her hands trembling, the staff's glow flickering weakly in her grasp. The Luminara's radiant light bathes the clearing, pushing back the forest's oppressive darkness, but the effort of the battle has taken its toll. Her knees buckle, and she collapses, her vision blurring as exhaustion overtakes her. Elara and Thorn rush to her side, their voices distant and muffled as they lift her from the ground. The journey out of the forest is a haze for Alara, her mind drifting in and out of consciousness. The whispers of the curse are gone, replaced by a deep, aching stillness that leaves her feeling hollow. She catches glimpses of the forest's twisted trees and the faint glow of the Luminara in Thorn's hand, but the details blur together, her body too weak to focus. When they finally emerge from the forest, the sunlight feels almost foreign, its warmth a stark contrast to the cold malevolence they've left behind. The city of Solara looms in the distance, its spires reaching toward the sky like beacons of hope. Thorn and Elara quicken their pace, their steps urgent as they carry Alara toward the safety of the city. Back in Thorn's apothecary, the air is thick with the scent of herbs and the hum of magic. Alara lies on a cot, her breathing shallow, her body still trembling from the ordeal. Thorn sets to work immediately, his hands moving with precision as he prepares the Luminara. The flower's petals glow faintly as he grinds them into a fine powder, mixing them with other rare ingredients to create a potion that shimmers with a soft, golden light. "This will restore your magic," Thorn says, his voice steady but laced with concern. "But the process won't be easy. The Luminara amplifies what's already within you. Your strength, your resolve, but also your fears. You'll need to face them head on." Alara nods weakly, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm ready." The potion burns as she drinks it, its warmth spreading through her veins like liquid fire. At first, there is only pain, sharp and searing, as though her very essence is being reforged. Then, the visions come. She sees herself standing in the ruins of the Brotherhood's halls, the weight of their legacy pressing down on her. The voices of the spirits echo around her, their whispers filled with both hope and doubt. "Can you truly carry this burden?" they ask. "Are you strong enough?" The visions shift, showing her failures moments of hesitation, of fear, of doubt. She sees herself faltering in the face of danger, her magic failing when it's needed most. The images are vivid, their emotional weight crushing, and for a moment, Alara feels as though she's drowning in her own insecurities. But then, she sees something else: her family, their faces filled with pride and love. She sees Elara, her unwavering support and quiet strength. She sees Thorn, his wisdom and determination, and she sees herself, not as a mage burdened by responsibility, but as someone who has faced darkness and emerged stronger. The pain begins to ebb, replaced by a warmth that spreads through her, steady and reassuring. Her magic surges, not as a wild, untamed force, but as something controlled and powerful, rooted in her newfound resolve. The visions fade, leaving her standing in the apothecary, her body no longer trembling, her mind clear. Thorn watches her closely, his expression unreadable. "How do you feel?" he asks. Alara takes a deep breath, the air filling her lungs with a renewed sense of purpose. "Stronger," she says, her voice steady. "Ready." The potion has done more than restore her magic. It has deepened her connection to it, her understanding of its power and its purpose. The weight of the Brotherhood's legacy no longer feels like a burden, but a mantle she is prepared to carry. Elara steps forward, her usual playful demeanor softened by a look of quiet admiration. "You've come a long way," she says, "but the hard part's still ahead." Alara nods, her gaze shifting to the Luminara's faint glow, now a part of her. The road ahead is fraught with danger, but for the first time, she feels truly ready to face it. The forest's trials, the potion's pain, the visions of her fears, they have all shaped her, tempered her resolve. As the sun sets over Solara, casting the city in a warm, golden light, Alara stands tall, her magic restored and her spirit unshaken. The journey is far from over, but with each step, she moves closer to the confrontation that will decide the fate of the world and her place within it. The fortress looms on the horizon, its jagged spires cutting through the darkening sky like claws reaching for the heavens. The air around it is heavy, charged with a malevolent energy that sends shivers down Alara's spine. She tightens her grip on the staff, its faint hum a steady reminder of the power she now carries. Beside her, Elara adjusts the strap of her lute, her usual playful demeanor replaced by a grim focus. Thorn walks a step ahead, his expression unreadable but his posture tense, his hand resting on the hilt of a dagger tucked into his belt. The journey to the fortress has been long, each step weighted with the knowledge of what lies ahead. The potion from the Luminara has restored Alara's magic, but the visions it brought, her fears, her doubts, still linger in the back of her mind. She pushes them aside, focusing on the task at hand. The rogue sorcerer, Malachar, must be stopped before his dark magic spreads further. The fortress gates are unguarded, their massive iron doors hanging ajar as though daring them to enter. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of decay, the walls lined with runes that pulse faintly with a sickly green light. The whispers of the Brotherhood's spirits grow louder in Alara's mind, their tone urgent. "Be cautious," they warn. "He is not what he seems." The first wave of creatures comes without warning, their forms twisted and grotesque, their eyes glowing with a feral hunger. Alara raises the staff, her soothing magic flaring to life as she channels its energy into a protective barrier. The creatures recoil, their hisses of anger filling the air, but they do not retreat. Lyra's fingers dance across the strings of her lute, the notes weaving through the air like a blade, slicing through the shadows. Thorn moves with precision, his dagger flashing as he dispatches the creatures with swift, practiced strikes. The battle is fierce, the air thick with the clash of magic and the snarls of the creatures. Alara's magic proves invaluable, its warmth countering the cold fury of the sorcerer's dark spells. But the deeper they push into the fortress, the more the environment shifts, the walls twisting and the floors buckling as though the very structure is alive and hostile. At last, they reach the heart of the fortress, a vast chamber bathed in an eerie green light. Malachar stands at its center, his cloak billowing as though caught in a phantom wind. His face is obscured by shadows, but his eyes gleam with a predatory light. "You've come far," he says, his voice low and mocking, "but you cannot stop what is already in motion." Alara steps forward, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions within her. "Your magic is corrupting the world. We won't let you continue." Malachar laughs, the sound echoing through the chamber. "Corrupting? No, little mage. I am restoring what was taken. The Brotherhood betrayed me, cast me aside when I sought to protect them. They feared my power, my vision. And now I will see their legacy undone." The revelation strikes Alara like a blow. Malachar was once one of them, a member of the Brotherhood. His fall was not born of greed or ambition, but of betrayal. The whispers in her mind grow louder, their tone somber, as though confirming his words. The battle begins in earnest, Malachar's dark magic surging through the chamber like a storm. He summons creatures of shadow, their forms shifting and writhing as they attack. Alara counters with her soothing magic, its gentle warmth pushing back the darkness. The clash is intense, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the crackle of energy. But as the battle rages, Alara begins to see the truth behind Malachar's power. His magic is not just darkness, it is pain, anger, and a deep, unrelenting grief. The Brotherhood's betrayal still haunts him, driving his every action. "You don't have to do this," she says, her voice trembling with emotion. "The Brotherhood made mistakes, but this isn't the way to fix them." For a moment, Malachar hesitates, his gaze flickering with something like doubt. But then his expression hardens, his resolve unshaken. "It's too late for redemption," he snarls. The final clash is brutal, the chamber shaking with the force of their magic. Elara channels the last of her strength into the staff, its runes flaring brighter than ever before. The burst of light engulfs Malachar, his form dissolving into shadow as the chamber falls silent. For a moment, there is only stillness. Then, the whispers in Alara's mind grow softer, their tone grateful but somber. The battle is won, but the cost is heavy. Malachar's fall, his pain, is a reminder of the Brotherhood's flaws, their humanity. As they leave the fortress, the weight of what they've learned presses heavily on Alara's shoulders. The road ahead is still uncertain, the dangers great, but she knows they have taken a crucial step. The Brotherhood's legacy is not just about power, it's about understanding, about learning from the past to protect the future. The sun dips below the horizon, its fading light casting long shadows across the land. But even in the gathering darkness, Alara feels a spark of hope. The journey is far from over, but with each step, she moves closer to restoring the balance the Brotherhood once protected, and to finding her place within their legacy. The chamber trembles as Malachar's dark magic surges, the air thick with the acrid scent of ozone and the crackling energy of his spells. Alara raises the staff, its runes glowing faintly as she begins to chant the spell Thorn had helped her decipher in the hidden library. The words feel foreign yet familiar, their rhythm steady and deliberate, each syllable carrying a weight that resonates deep within her. The spell is one of purification, designed to strip away the corruption fueling Malachar's power. As she finishes the incantation, a burst of golden light erupts from the staff, its radiance spreading through the chamber like a cleansing wave. The light strikes Malachar, his form flickering as the dark energy surrounding him begins to unravel. For a moment, it seems as though the spell has worked. His magic weakens, his movements falter, but then his eyes ignite with a feral rage, and he snarls, his voice a guttural growl. "You think you can undo what I've built?" he roars, his hands clawing at the air. "You are nothing but a relic of a forgotten age." With a sweeping motion, he unleashes a powerful curse, its dark tendrils snaking through the chamber like living shadows. The curse is relentless, its energy consuming everything in its path. The walls of the fortress crack and splinter, the floor buckling beneath their feet. Alara feels the curse's malevolence clawing at her mind, its whispers filled with despair and rage. Desperation fuels her as she realizes the enormity of the threat. She glances at Lyra and Thorn, their faces pale but resolute, and makes a split-second decision. Channeling every ounce of her remaining strength, she drives the staff into the ground, its runes flaring brighter than ever before. The energy surges through her, a torrent of warmth and light that forms a protective barrier around them. The curse crashes against the barrier, its dark tendrils recoiling as though burned by the light. The effort is immense, each second stretching into an eternity as Alara pours her magic into the staff. The barrier holds, but the strain is evident. Her hands tremble, her breath comes in ragged gasps, and her vision blurs as exhaustion threatens to overtake her. Still, she doesn't falter. The light of the barrier weakens the curse, its energy dissipating as the staff's power pushes back the darkness. Malachar snarls in frustration, his form flickering as his magic wanes. "You cannot hold forever," he shouts, his voice a guttural growl. But Alara doesn't need to hold forever, she only needs to hold long enough. As the barrier begins to fade, Lyra and Thorn step forward, their movements swift and decisive. Lyra's fingers dance across the strings of her lute, the notes weaving through the air like a blade, slicing through the remnants of the curse. Thorn moves with precision, his dagger flashing as he delivers the final blow, shattering the last of Malachar's defenses. The sorcerer lets out a final, guttural cry, his form dissolving into shadow as the curse breaks. The chamber falls silent, the oppressive energy dissipating as the fortress begins to crumble around them. Alara collapses, her body drained and trembling, but the whispers in her mind are quiet now, their tone grateful but somber. Lyra is at her side in an instant, her hands steady as she helps Alara to her feet. "You did it," she says, her voice filled with quiet admiration. Thorn nods, his expression unreadable, but his eyes filled with respect. "The curse is broken," he says. "But the fortress won't hold much longer. We need to move." As they make their way out of the crumbling fortress, the weight of their victory presses heavily on Alara's shoulders. The battle is won, but the cost is evident. Her magic is spent, her body exhausted, and her mind still reeling from the encounter. Yet amidst the exhaustion, there's a flicker of hope. The Brotherhood's legacy is no longer just a burden. It's a responsibility she's proven she can carry. The journey ahead is still uncertain, the danger's great, but as they step into the fading light of day, Alara feels a renewed sense of purpose. The sorcerer is defeated, the curse broken, and the world is one step closer to finding balance. For now, that is enough. The journey back to Solara feels both familiar and strange, the weight of their victory settling over them like a calm after a storm. The city, once shrouded in the oppressive gloom of Malachar's curse, now basks in the soft light of a new dawn. As Alara, Lyra, and Thorn approach the gates, they're greeted by cheers and applause. Word of their triumph has spread, and the people of Solara pour into the streets, their faces alight with gratitude and relief. Alara walks among them, the staff still humming faintly in her hand, but her mind is elsewhere. The battle with Malachar has left her with more questions than answers. The Brotherhood's legacy, once a distant ideal, now feels deeply personal. It's not just about the power they wielded or the secrets they guarded. It's about the responsibility that comes with such knowledge. The world is fragile, its balance easily disrupted, and the Brotherhood's role was to protect that balance. As the celebrations continue, Alara finds a quiet corner in the city square, her thoughts swirling. Lyra joins her, her lute slung over her shoulder, and a rare seriousness in her eyes. "You're thinking about what comes next, aren't you?" she asks, her voice soft but perceptive. Alara nods, her gaze drifting to the horizon. The Brotherhood wasn't perfect, she admits. They made mistakes, and those mistakes cost them dearly. But their purpose, their mission, was worth fighting for. I can't let that fade away. Thorn approaches, his expression thoughtful. "Rebuilding the Brotherhood won't be easy," he says, his tone measured but not discouraging. "It'll take more than just magic. It'll take trust, unity, and a clear vision. But if anyone can do it, it's you." The words linger in the air, their weight undeniable. Alara looks at her companions, their unwavering support a reminder that she's not alone in this. The Brotherhood wasn't built by one person, and it won't be rebuilt by one either. "Will you join me?" she asks, her voice steady but filled with quiet hope. Lyra grins, her usual playfulness returning. "You couldn't keep me away if you tried," she says, her tone light but her eyes serious. Thorn nods, his expression resolute. "I've spent my life studying the Brotherhood's secrets. It's time I put that knowledge to better use." With their agreement, the first seeds of the new Brotherhood are planted. Together, they begin the arduous task of rebuilding not just the Order itself, but its purpose. They establish a new chapter in Solara, its doors open to those who seek to learn and protect rather than to dominate. Alara's soothing magic becomes the foundation of their teachings, a reminder that power should be wielded with care and compassion. The training begins slowly, with a handful of eager apprentices drawn to the promise of a brighter future. Alara guides them, her lessons rooted in the wisdom of the past, but tailored to the challenges of the present. Lyra uses her music to inspire and unify, her melodies weaving through the halls like a thread binding them together. Thorn shares his vast knowledge of ancient rituals and artifacts, ensuring that the new mages understand not just how to wield magic, but why. As the days turn into weeks, the fledgling Brotherhood begins to take shape. The city of Solara, once a place of fear and uncertainty, becomes a beacon of hope. People from across the land come to learn, to heal, and to prepare for the challenges ahead. Elara watches with quiet pride, her heart swelling with a sense of purpose she's never known before. But amidst the progress, she remains mindful of the lessons learned. The Brotherhood's fall was not just the result of external forces. It was their own flaws, their own betrayals that undid them. She vows to do better, to lead with humility, and to always remember the weight of the legacy she carries. The road ahead is long, and the shadows of the past still linger, but Alara steps forward with resolve. The Brotherhood's light has been reignited, and its flame burns brighter than ever. With Lyra and Thorn by her side, and a new generation of mages rising to meet the challenges of the world, she knows they are ready to face whatever comes next. The story of the Arcane Brotherhood is far from over. It's just beginning, and as the sun sets over Solara, casting its golden light across the city, Alara feels a quiet sense of fulfillment. The journey has been long and fraught with peril, but it has shaped her into the leader she was always meant to be. The world is safer, but it will always need protectors. And now, with the Brotherhood reborn, it has them. Alara stands atop the ancient temple, the wind tugging gently at her robes as she gazes out over the horizon. The world stretches before her, vast and alive, its colors vivid under the light of the setting sun. This is where her journey began, where she first heard the whispers of the Brotherhood and felt the weight of their legacy settle upon her shoulders. Now those whispers are silent, their voices replaced by the steady hum of the staff in her hand and the quiet pulse of magic within her. The temple's stones, weathered by time and etched with the marks of countless stories, feel almost alive beneath her feet. She remembers the first time she stepped into this place, uncertain and afraid, her heart heavy with the burden of choices she didn't yet understand. Now, standing here, she feels a quiet strength, a sense of purpose that has grown with every trial, every battle, and every moment of doubt she's faced. Below her, the world she's fought to protect unfolds like a tapestry. The forests, once shrouded in shadow, now sway gently in the breeze, their leaves catching the golden light. The cities, once cloaked in fear, buzz with life and hope, their streets filled with the laughter of children and the hum of industry. The scars of Malachar's darkness have begun to heal, their edges softened by the light of the Brotherhood's renewed legacy. Alara closes her eyes, letting the warmth of the sun wash over her. She thinks of Lyra, her laughter and her songs, and the way her music has woven its way into the hearts of those they've met. She thinks of Thorn, his steady presence and his quiet wisdom, a reminder that strength often lies in patience and knowledge. She thinks of the new mages they've trained, their faces alight with curiosity and determination, eager to carry the torch of the Brotherhood forward. The road ahead is not an easy one. The world is vast, and its challenges are many. There will be new threats, new trials, and new moments of doubt, but Alara knows she is not alone. The lessons she's learned, the importance of balance, the strength found in unity, and the power of hope will guide her. The allies she's gained, each with their own gifts and stories, will stand beside her. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Alara takes a deep breath. The whispers may be silent, but their presence lingers in the magic that flows through her, in the staff she holds, and in the legacy she now carries. The Brotherhood is more than just a name or a history. It is a promise, a vow to protect the world and all its fragile beauty. With a final glance at the horizon, Alara turns and descends the temple steps, her heart light but her resolve unshaken. The story of the Arcane Brotherhood is not over. It is just beginning, and as she walks into the gathering dusk, the first stars beginning to twinkle above, she feels a quiet sense of hope. The world is safer, but it will always need guardians, and now, with the Brotherhood reborn, it has them. The journey continues, not with an ending, but with a new chapter, one written in the light of a brighter future.